Welcome to the first. You have a story. If you look back on your life, you've done things for the first time that no one in your family, in your town, in the country has done. This is Dr. Sandi. You have unknowingly paved the way for others without knowing it or even acknowledging it. This is where you tell your story so that those who come after you can walk in your footsteps to build their own firsts. Hey everybody, meet Rickie James. During high school at Fort Hamilton High in Brooklyn, Rickie realized that none of his siblings went to college because they went straight to work. He knew he wanted to go to college, and he chose to pursue a course called the Technology of Architecture at New York Technical College, which was located in Manhattan at the time. During that course, he learned how to take things apart and put them back together. When it was time to graduate, Rickie knew that his family really supported him, but they would not attend the graduation ceremony because it wasn't important to them. And it also involved taking a day off from work. His professors celebrated his accomplishment by giving him a small ceremony in the school hallway. Rickie now serves as a model for his nephews and nieces who are all going to college. Hey, everybody. Today I'm speaking to Rickie James. I know Rickie James from my Toastmasters group. Rickie has some firsts that he wanted to talk to you about, particularly about graduating from college and being first in his family to do that. So welcome, Rickie.
Welcome. How are you this morning? Good.
I am well. I am well. I was reading your intake form and said, "Oh, this should be good." I've had a couple of people who've had your first, but everyone is very different. Their stories are always very different.
That's true.
So let's talk about that today. Tell me about your first and being the first in your family to graduate.
Well, I am not the oldest in my family. I am in the middle. I'm a middle child. I get everything the older ones don't get.
I'm a middle child too. I understand that. I understand that.
So the issue is, while I was in school, in high school, it dawned on me that my older brother, my two sisters, did not go into college. They went to work.
And where was this, Rickie? Was this here?
This was in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn,
New York. Yes, Park Slope.
And what high school did you go to?
Fort Hamilton High School, the Army Military School, where everything is regimented, and the Fort Hamilton Army base is just right around the corner.
I went to Erasmus Hall High School.
Our competition. Oh,
yes.
Competition, Mr. Erasmus himself.
Yeah. Yes. So
the issue is, in Fort Hamilton, they stress the fact that you should go into college. The main idea is going to school in Fort Hamilton is to get into college.
I'm surprised. I would have thought going into the military.
Well, they do specify military, but there was no war, no emergencies towards getting into the military. I did join selective service within the military. I was selected to go into the Air Force, and I had a lieutenant position job in the South at a desk, so I didn't want that.
Well, thank you for your service. You did serve.
Yeah. I was selected to go, but I did not choose to go, so I didn't go. I wanted to go to college. I did tell the individual I am going to college instead of just serving.
Nice. And which college did you go? How was that?
I went to New York City Technical College in Manhattan. Now it is in Brooklyn, but at that time it was in Manhattan on 42nd Street near the bus terminal. And every day you hear the bus in classroom leaving the city, and all the college kids who are going to schools like Penn State and Bonaventure and Canisius and all those beautiful schools, waving out the bus, "Goodbye, I'm going," and I'm in school in Manhattan. So that was, and I could see them they rode by.
But wasn't that an adventure, even just to go into Manhattan on the train?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was an adventure. At my age, it was. I was younger than those people, but the issue is, I was in college, and I should enjoy it. And the idea that I enjoyed it is because of the fact of no one in my family was ever in college besides me. So that's an interesting.
And what made you choose New York Tech?
It was the only college in the state that had the program that I wanted to go to. So
Which
I
was what?
overlooked all the colleges in the city and overlooked all the colleges in the state, and I chose City Tech, and it had the program that I
What
liked.
was your program?
The technology of architecture,
Oh,
learning the technology of not architecture itself, but the technology of architecture, how to take it apart, analyze it, how to put it back together, the profession of architecture. There's nothing that is not that is in a profession that is not able to be taken apart and put back together. So like a lawyer, you can take a lawyer apart,
right.
but the idea is how to put it back together. So that's a good study. I really enjoyed getting that degree. So,
Wow. And what do you do now with your
well,
degree?
I am working for a planner, an architectural planner who works with the planning board. I'm an associate to him. In the city of New York, they don't have what they had in other parts of the state where they are partners. I'm an associate. There's a difference.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I might talk to you after this podcast about see how much we learn about
Yes,
each
yes,
other.
yes. It's an issue.
So tell me about your college experience, Rickie. Given that you're the first, did you have any expectations going in about college?
Yes, yes. Passing and not using a cheat sheet, to so to say, to graduate. I was graduating this and passing all my classes, and the instructor who liked me, and he's still in the school, Professor Maldonado, he handpicked me and handed my degree to me in the hallway in front of everybody in the school, and it was a shock to me. I said, "Why, thank you, Mr. Maldonado." And Mr. Maldonado smiled and went back into his dean's office.
I'm confused. Why did he do that? Why did that
I
happen?
don't know. He handpicked me. I don't know if he liked me or the work. I know it's about the work that I've done, but he did choose that particular moment to just hand me my degree and not let me go to the graduation ceremony, because I
That,
told him I wasn't going because of the fact that there is nobody in my family that is a
oh,
college graduate, and so they
okay,
wouldn't know what
okay.
it was and what it meant.
Oh, I understand now. I thought he was just picking on you
No,
to
he
do that.
handpicked me as a show of complimentation,
Hmm.
complimentary, being complimentary.
And did you in fact not go to graduation?
No, I didn't go. I was invited to go, but no one in my family wanted to go. Why should they go? They don't know what it was. Not that they were ignorant, but they had work and they had school, and they wanted to continue on with what they do. And my family, they would support me to the hell and high waters, as they would say.
Yeah,
And
but that milestone was just because it's the first milestone, they weren't aware enough
yeah,
of the importance of
well, there was no one in at that time in the 70s that would come to your home and explain it to you, or explain it to your family, what the significance is of college graduation and an education in the field of the technology that I was involved with. So I avoided all that issue of, I graduated, we're in the ceremony, and what is this all about? Why
right.
is it that and we did enjoy the fact of showing them my degree in when I did receive it. I opened up the portfolio and I showed them the paper degree, and all smiles. Everybody
Yeah.
was smiling. Everybody was proud, and I told them what I've earned with that degree, an internship, and it went along with my other two jobs, my internship. So they really think I achieved a great thing. So that was more important than knowing about the technology of architecture.
So, did they fully understand your job, like what you
Uh,
would do with that degree?
yes, they knew what my job was. It was what it was paying, but they didn't know what I was doing while I was inside the office. So it's not funny, but it
No,
is true.
it's
It is true.
it's very normal. I find, and I'll say this with immigrant families, our parents, we're the ones paving the way, right?
Yes.
They are here to do their best and to work as hard as they can to give us the opportunity to do what we want to do, even if they don't understand it.
Yes, yes. That's so true. My uncle, he understood what it was that I was doing. My uncle, he graduated from Columbia, and my aunts, they graduated from their school. They understood, but still they left it up to our family, our immediate family, to do the proper and the right things, to work out our own avenues and our own foyers and beliefs, and show the pathway that we have chosen with by pushing me on.
Now, did those people who went to college, or whether they graduated, did they encourage you to
Yes,
take
they
it?
did. They employed me in their job. One was a lawyer. He
Oh,
employed me to come to his house and housekeep. My aunt is a graduate from a college. I forget, William and Mary, I think it was, and she asked me to stop into her office as a technician in the post office, where she typefits and typecast all the letters of that is in a postal stamp or in a documentation of the post office. And I did go in there and I worked there for a day, looking and seeing
right.
and watching. My other aunt, she was in the teaching field, and she invited me into her classroom to see the students and understand what it was that teachers do at that time.
Nice,
So
nice.
it was not an all around. It was an all around supportive system where I felt that I was going to achieve a great deal of things, and most of the things that I achieved would be so significant that I would have to have those people outside in the world to come in and explain it to me and also my family, that what I achieved, and this is what it meant to the city of New York.
And so, how did you instill that in your next generation, whether your children or nephews and nieces? And,
Nephews and nieces, they learn from my brothers and sisters, whether they came to me and told me that this is what they told them or taught them. They didn't have to, because I know that my brothers and sisters are always going to teach them the proper thing, because they know what it is that I go through and what I did achieve. So the issue is, was there anything left out? I don't think there was. Nothing. They're
so they
knowledgeable.
grew up. They grew up just believing that that's the next step to go to
Yes.
college, because that's
Go
what
to
I
college.
did. I did it with the next generation. It wasn't
My
even
nieces,
thought about.
my nieces and nephews graduated college from Old Stony Brook. They all went. Most of them went to Old Stony Brook in upstate New York and
Uh-huh.
Long Island, and they graduated with a degree in their subject. Some of my nieces are down south, and they are graduating in their field of study, which is nursing and things like that, which they do in the South. So, uh, and my cousins, who are nieces, have nieces and nephews, went to. They just moved to Colorado, and they are going to work as a principal in a school, and they
Ah,
do their studies, and they won many awards, and I am very proud of them. So my nieces and nephews are a chink in my hat. And so
nice.
not a feather, but a chink. So you know that I'm very proud of them.
So, Rickie, because you were the first, what do you think going to college and getting your degree, what were some of the things that were like the joys that brought you, things you wouldn't have been able to do without that college degree? And
Well,
especially,
my friends, and my associates, like my fiance, and we did enjoy exchanging gifts of profession, of the profession. She was a seamstress. She graduated college also after me, and she was a seamstress, and she did design many beautiful clothing and artifacts that are still on the market today. And she gave me such expensive to the field of architecture gifts, not in money wise, but they were hard to achieve and hard to get your hands on.
yeah.
So it was a rapidograph,
What,
a set of rapidograph,
what is that?
ink pens that do retract ink from the cartilage to the point of the needle where they can be pressed on in the proper form of stroke, of finger stroke to
Oh,
make a proper line. It was such a gift that I enjoyed. I used it for years and years and years and years.
a
And I don't know where she got
rapidograph.
it.
Rapidograph?
Rapidograph.
I have to look that up. I've
But
not heard that and I've not seen that. I like pens,
yes,
but
it
I've
is.
not. Is it like a
It,
fountain pen, kind of a
no,
fountain?
it's a rapidograph. It's a different thing than a fountain pen. It's for architecture. It's nothing
Okay,
for nothing else. It's nothing for anything else
now
but architecture writing.
look that up.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have for an
That could be
architect.
my word of the day for Toastmasters.
Yes, that would be a word of the day. That's true.
So,
And she also bought me a portfolio to carry my work around the city of New York. So I felt that I had a sword and a shield for
fields,
for my fiance. So that is very
every time you look at it,
nice. Yeah,
so
Yes.
so
And
what are some
my
things, if
friend,
you think, Ricky, were there any negatives? Were there any pushbacks when you graduated or
well,
went to school?
the city of New York was a pushback. They say, "Slow down, young man, slow down." It was always a slow down issue where the trains were always not running,
Ah,
where the people were not always doing the proper thing. There was always someone in the field of architecture that it was carrying and doing something that was illegal.
really?
And yes, yes, yes.
Well, when you say illegal in architecture, what does
Well,
that encompass?
showing a vendetta against each other. So I
Uh,
never liked that. I never liked it. They were competitive. I even wrote the profession in Washington D.C. in order for them to be aware of the fact of blackballing, hating one architect over another.
ah,
They they do that, and we 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 exchanged letters, Washington D.C. and myself, on the fact of blackballing, and they're aware of it. So what can you do?
is that a form of discrimination?
No, it's a form of deceit, deceit, deceit. If you see somebody that is um, of a different school, different education, a different background in the profession only, they would say, "Well, don't let this one go by," and they roll a ball underneath the person so he can trip up and fall.
Wow. Did they
That,
have a
that
preference for certain schools?
they chose uh, certain jobs for certain schools.
Schools.
so that they can coagulate together and gel with the work and
Ah,
do make better work than other companies, other professional groups. So
oh,
that was something. I didn't like that. It happens in a lot of places, but not as large as the law or the professional individual.
interesting. I mean, I've heard of the term, but I never really quite knew what was happening
Yeah.
with that. I could see how that would happen in some industries.
Yes. Yes.
Gives you a monopoly on some things, and
Isn't that well? Monopolies do happen, and there are something to be proud of in a monopoly. If you take everything, then that's greed. That's not a monopoly. But
yes,
if you take a certain profession and you realize that it is something that is, well, the individual has to realize that it's something that you share. I can see that is something. If you see if it's in the person's nature
right.
to share, it's a good thing. It's a good idea.
Interesting.
Interesting indeed.
So yeah, I like that that idea of even fighting for what you want. Do
Yeah,
you think because you went to college, you felt like you have a foot to stand on when you're fighting,
yeah.
as opposed to not?
Yes, that's true.
Ah,
Um, if an individual does have that foot to stand on and they throw a black ball at them, what is his chances are of succeeding in that profession is what they normally go go through and see and watch.
yes.
But if it is too obvious and too negative, they should not watch. They should interfere.
Yes. You were telling me about friends that went along the way.
Yes.
Fab. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, my good friends, they some have disappeared completely. They did to the fact of go to school along with me, and some have went played sports with me and have done great things in while we were young and strong. But I don't see them in the Middle Ages in the 80s and the 90s. I did not see them. I heard of them doing great things, but now that I'm back in Brooklyn,
Uh-huh.
I don't see them. They do mention the fact that my brothers mention the fact that they are still alive doing the things that they do, normally do, but they don't seem to be anywhere where they're supposed to be.
Are
So
you
I
have
don't know.
you reached out? Have you
Yes,
reached
I've reached out to see if they are there or at home or around, but not a trace of them. Not a trace.
wow.
Mm.
And especially if you would think because you're back in Brooklyn and
There should be an outcry. Rickie's back. Rickie's back, and then but I don't see that. I see a hush hush. Get Ricky, you're back, and here's your position back, and here's your notion back, and here's your and not a person that says rah rah rah. So
right.
that's the difference.
Huh. Have you gone to a reunion like your high school
Yes, I've been
reunion?
to a high school a type of high school reunion. I sat there and I saw them sprinkling around in the audience people that I know, but they didn't seem to notice me. They didn't turn to say hello. They didn't. And when they are leaving, they gathered their group together and they all left. I was with a professional teacher who within the high school, and they didn't tell her that they noticed me or nothing. But still,
Let's talk about that. Do you
yeah,
think it's because you go to college and they didn't go to college? Is that
they went to college also, to
they
their
went to
college,
college?
and I helped them get into their college. So that's strange. Isn't that strange indeed?
Yeah,
The gratitude should be there also, but That the friends are friends, and that's what some friends expect
Wow.
this issue of gratitude. One of my friends is a professional basketball player. I helped him get into the school that he went to, and I've seen him play, but I don't see him any longer. I seen him on the subway with his wife, his new wife, but I haven't seen him since then, so I don't know. The
So what do
people,
you do? Did you make new friends and form your own?
yes, I made friends than what I have in Brooklyn and Manhattan and Queens and the Bronx, Staten Island.
Uh-huh.
I made friends in the part where I transferred to with a scholarship to another school, but still they were in college and they should have contacted me in order to get their butts up and doing more than what they went to school for. They went to school for basketball. They could do much more than that,
Yeah,
just to play basketball.
I know because basketball ends at some point, right?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So, Ricky, what are you doing now? I know you do Toastmasters. Why did you join Toastmasters?
Well, I do a lot of speaking engagements in preservation, which is a field of architecture that is also uh, looked on, especially these days. Buildings are getting old.
Yes,
We
yes,
have to preserve them.
yes.
So I do a lot of speaking with Albany, a lot of speaking in Washington. I do speaking in Manhattan and in the Bronx and Brooklyn. They are the engagements of what is it that we should be doing today? What is it we should be doing today?
That's interesting. I have a love-hate relationship with preservation. And part of that I'll explain. I love old buildings. I love to look, the architecture on them are beautiful.
Yes,
If I'm in the city, and have you ever taken that bus that visitors take? It's as a double decker.
yes.
When you sit on top of the second level, you
Mhm.
see all the architecture on the building that you can't see from the when you're sitting or walking on the street, right?
Yes, yes.
Most people don't walk and look up like this.
No,
And there's a lot of really beautiful gargoyles and
gargoyles. Yes, yes.
things
They
on the
say in the city, never look up because you never know what might be falling off the building. So there have been accidents with people, glass or brick fall off the building and then hit them in the head. But
yeah,
it is something that you should not do. Look up at
but
buildings
they're
in the city of New York.
beautiful though. I mean, it's
Even
gonna
though
hit you anyway, right?
the idea
It's
it's
gonna
going to
hit
hit
you
you
anyway.
anyway. It's going to hit you whether you hit with a brick or a piece of glass. You can just hit with the shock of just seeing a beautiful building,
Right.
saying "Wow," and stopping people in the streets
No,
behind you,
I
walking behind you.
actually I've taken those bus tours, the tour
Yes,
buses, when family come from out of town. And the first time I took that years ago, I'm like, this is a whole different world. Sitting
yes, yes,
up here, a whole different level of looking. But on the other hand, I when you buy a house that's on the preservation list, and I
yeah,
was thinking of buying one at one time, you're so limited to what you can do
yes. That's so nice.
within that
That
house.
is just like what I go through with my family. You don't know what you're getting yourself into,
Yeah,
and you can't tell no one else. You can't tell no one else. So that is the whole thing. That's very funny. And the place to go on your tour that is most beautiful for women is the Ladies Mile in Manhattan.
what is Lady Smile?
The Ladies Mile, every rich, important woman that has ever been in New York has a piece of property on the Ladies Mile.
And where is
They, I forget now. It's 50th Street in Manhattan on the east side.
Ah, I have
So
looked.
the tour guide, the guide and the information bureau in the city of New York has a brochure of the tour guide of the Ladies Mile. And if you wish to join in to get because there's always a long list of people trying to
Right.
get on. You
Ah,
should do that soon and early, especially this summer. This summer's going to be nice for
well, thank you, podcast listeners. Now you know what you'll be doing this summer.
that.
It's going on the
Okay.
Ladies Mile, and it's outdoors, so you can keep your mask on and still walk around and
Yes,
take a look. I'm going to put that onto my list. Thank you very much.
yes, yes.
And for future generations, Ricky, what would you say to them about the impact a college education has had on your life and why you think they should get one?
I've seen a college education do great things for people. I've seen people without a college education, namely my father, who did great things. There is a point where you do compare. I feel that he was a jack of all trades, and I am a tradesman.
Hmm.
So that was a comparison. So he is much more to the point of doing more for a person than I can in his profession, in this profession.
Now, kids today, college has become like high school.
Yes, it's easy, the ease of it.
I don't see technical schools as much anymore.
No,
Why do you think that is?
the technician is now a geek. He is called a geek, someone that is just a bit too much. So if at all that you want to be a tech and you want to be isolated and you want to be a geek or somebody that is gun ho about technical things like computers and things like electric automobiles,
Hmm.
they push you on to that, and they said that you should expect to be isolated, and you have that choice in the profession. There is schools for that.
Ah, because when I was younger, there were a lot of technical schools, and you were taught shop
Yep.
in schools. Very, I would say, segregated because
Yes.
girls were in sewing class. It was
Home
by
economics.
yes, home ec, and the boys were in some other kind of shop.
Mm-hmm.
Mechanic. I remember we had a
Mechanic.
mechanic.
Yeah.
I remember we had what other thing? Welding. We had a
Welding.
welding
Yeah.
class.
Wood shop. Wood shop.
Yes, what's up? That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All of those, I don't see them in schools anymore. It's more computers. It's more on the technology side rather than those things. And I think those were essential. We can't live without them, right?
No, you
We
cannot. You
still need
cannot.
workers, we still need mechanics, we still need these people, but everyone's routed to college, even if you want to become a
Well,
mechanic.
it's not necessary anymore. The idea is not any longer necessary. The idea is to keep whatever it is that you inherit and work with that. There's a basket weaver on my block. He
Mhm.
learned from his mother or father, and he makes more money than a technician weaving baskets.
Right.
And I think that's a feather in their cap. The city of New York buying and marketing such people that are basket weavers. So,
Nice.
nice.
Nice. Yes, I didn't know basket weaving still existed, but
Yeah.
that's an art. That's
Yes,
something
a
I
craft, a craft.
absolutely take a class on basket weaving. I
Yeah.
love baskets, but so thank you
You're
for
welcome. I
sharing.
enjoyed myself greatly. I enjoyed
Good.
myself.
I really like for us to pass this information on to the next generation or to people who Rickie, they might see you every day and not know your story of
Yeah.
how you got to where you were or things that you went through to get
Hmm.
where you are. And I hope it serves as a record. This is
Hmm.
really record keeping, similar
Yeah.
to history, of writing your own record of who you are and what you did and what was important to you.
Yeah.
So thank you for participating today and have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Sandy. It's a pleasure to be a part of my own podcast. Such things are not thought of in the past, but today the idea is catching on, catching fire.
Yes.
Some of the
Yes.
old guard is coming out to get a podcast.
Yes,
So,
and I really think this is a way to do our storytelling, similar to how
yes,
the older people used to do their stories, and now it'll be
yes,
recorded for posterity.
yes. They do this in college. They have a podcast network in college. They put your podcast on the network and
Right?
they grade it and they critique it. So that's
Nice.
even better. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Sandy.
Have a great day. This is Dr. Sandy. Thank you so much for sharing your journey on the first, where no two stories are alike, even if the circumstances are similar. Let this discussion serve as inspiration for others to show what's possible, and more importantly, to produce seconds and thirds.